normally, Dan, Cheryl would introduce you and have you tell us a little bit about yourself. Um, we know you've judged for us in the past, and we know you run your own business in Ventura. But if you'd like to enlighten us more on what you're doing and what you like best about photography.
Okay. Um, yeah, that could go on for hours.
Well, that's up to you. It's your time. So,
Okay. Well, just real briefly, I spent my working career as a vegetable seedsman, and I was up and down the coast and around the valley. So I know Santa Maria really well, the whole coast, and actually a lot of the world. I worked for Pito Seed, then Seminis, and then it morphed into Monsanto.
mhm.
And started this business. Gosh, photography seems like it's something that it just needed to do. The word hobby just doesn't quite click.
Yes, avocation doesn't pay well.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
There we
Oh,
go.
you know what? There's two Dans on here. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's the same Dan.
Yeah, one of them's on his cell phone. He did that because his internet keeps cutting out.
This is going to be a program riddled with,
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough night.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, one of those nights.
It's gonna be one of those nights.
Hi, Jeannie.
Hey, I recognize that background, Jeannie.
I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, hey, look at us. We're like
There's a
off in the
theme.
same
There's a
living
theme
room.
going on.
So
Yeah.
you are together?
I think that's the only
Yeah.
background in there.
It's pretty fun. We like it.
Well, you don't have Ken in the background.
Yeah,
like
we
Jeannie
can't
does,
see you
so-
or hear you, so.
You can't see me? Oh, you're talking about Dan. Well, Ken's gonna try to come on his own link.
Okay,
I
bye.
have to forward it to him and see if he can make it happen. You know, that's not a guaranteed thing.
All right.
Hurry.
So he's gonna try and switch to his cell phone.
Okay. Are we back?
I'm turning my camera off because I'm eating, but I'll be
Oh,
here.
hi, Dan's back.
I'm back. And that almost looks better than my computer camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I've been doing this for quite a while. The hobby, like I said, hobby didn't quite work. And guess what? It jumps back on.
Now you're on twice, yeah.
All right, just stay on the phone.
So, okay. Now I'm getting double.
You could go to your computer and mute it.
I'm just gonna turn that down. There we go. All right. So yeah, photography has been a big thing for me for a long, long time. I started my business in 2003, went full-time in 2009. And a lot of landscape, a lot of nature, a lot of events. I just finished up a marathon in more ways than one. Edited, keyworded, and uploaded over 10,000 photographs in about 3 days.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Thank God for Lightroom. And
Yeah.
so do quite a bit of teaching. I've done a lot of judging. I'm a certified California judge, and enjoy it a lot. And have run trips through California, up and down the coast, a couple to Namibia, a couple to Bolivia and Alaska. And once the world kind of quiets down, I may start running some trips again. But right now, I'm not too anxious to jump on a plane. So life is good, and I enjoy judging. I enjoy the whole photography thing, and it's a wonderful thing that we do and that we get to share with. So
Very enjoyable.
yes.
Mhm.
So okay, I've got a live screen now. I can, if the if my web drops out again, I can jump over and just follow you on my Lightroom, so we can manage.
Okay. Well, if, before we start, Alan, do we have any business that we need to discuss?
Well, first of all, maybe we should talk about field trips.
Already on, you're in the bottom, underneath probably.
Who, me?
Oh, you are the field trip queen.
Yeah, we have field trip next week, don't we?
Every time you do.
Yes, as long as I'd like to know if there's any concerns about COVID with going to the fairgrounds next Thursday. Is everybody that would go okay with wearing masks if that makes you feel better? All that kind of thing.
It's in my calendar for Thursday.
I wasn't planning on going, so
Okay, that's exactly the thing. Are you planning to go or thinking about it?
Thursdays.
I won't be going because I'll be in hospital probably still.
Yeah. Ron's
Mhm.
checking the calendar.
I won't be able to go. I'm going to be out of the country again.
What's the,
Oh,
Hmm.
Obviously not bothered about COVID then.
Yeah,
Well,
I've been
Bob
traveling this whole
Haley
time
and
with
I are
COVID, so,
planning.
Huh?
that doesn't tell me there's anything for Thursday.
Well, I'm going to go ahead with the concept of getting to the fairgrounds after having dinner. So I'll send out in my email, I'll request that if you want to have dinner out with us prior to going to the fairgrounds to let me know and we can arrange to meet. And then getting to the fairgrounds for the exhibitions and all that kind of stuff, and maybe go on a ride or two if anyone's willing to go with me.
Maybe,
While you shoot
Yeah.
video, yeah.
maybe
And-
we'll get to go.
Yeah, it actually I got in a George Lepp approved slide that I took when I was on the swings. That I leaned back and took a shot of the person behind me a little bit, so I got the background blurred, and of course we were moving at the same speed, so it was just like really cool. So that's the sort of thing you can do when you're up there on the ride. And then next weekend is the Renaissance Fair up in Slow. Ed and I are going to be there both Saturday and Sunday. And so far they've had their pre-sale tickets that they offered. A record amount of them have been purchased, so might be busy.
yeah.
So that's the field trip report.
All right, thank you.
Be good.
Does everybody understand the meeting schedule?
Not all the time.
Stay posted. I think that we moved some stuff around due to the availability of judges. That's why the competitions are what they are. But everything's subject to change based on how COVID's doing and our ability to get back into Merrill Gardens. So, our next meeting will be on the third Wednesday, which whatever date that is. That's the 20th, I believe. And
Okay.
I was just gonna do a show and tell. Maybe we could have a meeting. I don't know. Just play it by ear.
All
Okay.
right, we'll be ready.
And then August, just go by the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? No, well, then I think we should start with the judging. I would like to start with the color images first.
Okay.
And you go ahead, Elaine, be color.
Okay.
And just to remind you, Dan, the way we're going to do a quick step through of each image so that everybody can see what was submitted.
Okay.
And then we'll return to the first image, which is currently up. They are shown to you in the numerical sequence. I sent them to you. And at that point, our score.
Sharing. Great.
What?
You're not sharing the screen.
Oh, Sorry about that. Yeah, sometimes I come up short.
There we go.
Okay, so
Um,
continue on. We'll go back. The scorekeeper for color will announce the title of the image and then ask you to give us your comments on it and a summary score before we move on to the next image. Is that all clear to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so these are the images. Okay, this is our first image.
This is titled A Side Street in the City.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm going to precurse this by saying the work is awesome. I'm really enjoyed looking at all the images, and you made my afternoon quite difficult. There's a lot of good stuff here. And at a score range from 16 to 21, and all of the images are really quite good. And so don't take it to heart if I didn't quite get it or if I score you down a little bit. Hopefully I'll explain what I was thinking. So this one, Side Street in the City, I like this quite a bit. I gave it a 19 overall. I like the color. I like the sense of place. It's sharp. It's technically it's done quite nicely. There's great detail everywhere. And it's nice and soft. You've got nice soft. Oh, damn it. Can you hear me at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
fine here.
Somebody said, I know. I'm looking at two screens and my other screen said I was muted. I know I'm muted.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, sorry about that. It's a little distracting trying to run this off of two different processes here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got nice soft light. City street light is really quite nice. What could actually make it a little bit stronger? I'm actually wanting a little stronger center of interest here. I'm looking at this great big detailed door, which is pretty awesome, but that's a really big part of the image. And the door itself isn't compositionally all that cool. We've got those big rivets in it, but it's nothing to hold me there. Couple of things. One, there's got to be people on these streets. I might just hang back and wait for something to happen, somebody to come walking through with a bright red umbrella. And also might step back a little bit to shrink the size of that door and make that road, that path in the middle, seem a little bit longer. So try and move back. This is a case where you've got control of the scene. Think about what part of that scene you really want to highlight, and then shoot the heck out of it. Move back, move in, zoom out. This doesn't have to be a one-shot photo. So again, I gave that a 19. Yeah.
Abundant Hope.
Okay, Abundant Hope. you know, we have a real treat on the coast to have these butterflies. I think we even had some down here in Ventura this year. And it's a really cool story. You know, somebody not living on the coast would have no idea what this is. Um, okay, actually, I gave it a 16. It's a great scene. Um, but as a photo, we have to think about what is our real center of interest here. I'll probably talk about this a fair amount tonight. There's a lot going on. We've got the eucalyptus trunk on the right-hand side, and we've got all of these leaves and branches that are kind of chaotic. And if you hear me talk about forests, and this is really equivalent to a forest, forests are chaotic and they're actually kind of hard to photograph. So where do you want my eye to go? I kind of go to this bright spot of butterflies in the middle, but then my eye just starts to kind of wander all the way around the rest through the leaves, the other darker clumps of butterflies, and then I kind of wander out of the photo. This is a case where you've got that one bright spot, you know, either zoom in, foot zoom, or telephoto zoom in on that bright spot and turn that yellow golden light into individual butterflies. It's going to be a lot more compelling. Your audience and your viewers don't really need to see all of the eucalyptus leaves. Let the eucalyptus kind of go in the background and really highlight those those butterflies. And you had that nice little gift of pop of light on that one bunch. Take advantage of it. So, okay, next.
Dunes Sundown.
Dune Sundown. Okay. Again, we're really treated to live in some pretty amazing places here. Nice scene. We've got nice soft light coming in from the sunset. We're looking across the bay, and we've got interesting patterns in the dunes. And at first, when I first looked at it, I went, "What are those specks?" And then I realized it's people. And so that gives us really a sense of size and place. And actually, even looking out in the ocean, I think I'm seeing either a couple of surfers or people wandering in the water. So I gave this one a 17. It's a nice scene, a nice sense of place. It's always really difficult shooting into the sun because the sun goes really bright and it's a big contrast between the sun and what we're looking at in the foreground. And again, there's a lot of things going on. We've got this big smile, a shadow on the bottom of the image, and then lots of things in the dunes. And we're kind of missing some compositional elements that draw my eye in. I kind of wander through all the dunes, and I'm kind of needing that bright red umbrella, a little bit more of a center of interest. So again, when you're in a situation like this, you've got light happening. Think about something to throw into the image to hold your eye there. Have your partner run out in the dune and stand there. Look for a part of the dune that's unique, or a plant, or one thing to help anchor your eye in that image. And lots of times when the sunset's happening, I'll just start running and looking for something to anchor the photograph.
Mm.
So, okay, next.
Did you score?
Oh, sorry.
17.
Yeah, we
Yes,
have it. Yeah, 17. This one is titled Grand Teton's View.
okay. And this one looks really sweet on in Lightroom. It loses a little bit of its pop here on WebEx, but the colors of the real image are really, really nice. A beautiful sky, nice blues. It's a nice sense of, gosh, late fall. early winter, snow on the peaks, and the leaves have dropped, but we've still got color. Nice sense of place. I like the fact that you took it to a panorama. And again, nice sense of place. It makes me want to be there. I gave this an 18. So lovely. What to make it a stronger image? Because we're looking at a competition image here. We're looking at how can I make this image stronger? Well, think about the clumps of trees in the foreground and the two pine trees in the midground. Which one do you want me to look at? Okay, I've got a clump here on the right, a couple of single ones in the center, another one in the middle left, and then two on the very edge of the left. So my eye wanders from each one of those and says, okay, which one of those do you want me to see? This one here with the cluster of aspens on the right is really an attractive clumping of trees. So think again about that one thing that you want to add as an anchor or a center of interest to the image. And in this case, I think I'd move around a bit, move back to where these trees are smaller in the foreground, or really work on finding a cluster of trees that you can use to anchor the photograph. So another thing too is the trees are really tight on the bottom of the image. Leave a little bit of room for those trees to grow out of. Once you see that and get used to looking at that, you'll want a little more space on the bottom. So again, look for that one thing, and one thing could be a clump of trees. Think about making that your image, and everything else is supporting that center of interest or subject. Okay, and that got an 18.
Right. This is Helford River at Gweek, Cornwall.
Okay, I'm glad you were able to pronounce Gweek.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. I'm sure I slaughter a lot of words.
Okay, this is a nice pastoral kind of country image. Definitely looks like it's not Santa Maria. Comfortable green, and a nice sense of place. Again, things like this help me want to get back on the airplane and travel again. Here, there's a lot of things going on. I gave this a 16. It's a nice scene, but where do you want me to concentrate? Is it the bridge? Is it the barn? Is it the building behind the trees? Or is it that really cool, bright red phone booth in the side? Again, kind of like a forest, there's so much going on that really, what do you want me to see? There's, some of you may have heard me say before, there's one thing that makes you grab the camera, one thing that makes you stop and want to take a photograph. Many times by the time we stop, grab the photograph, pull it up to our eyes, that one thing has kind of gotten forgotten. Or it might be just there in the back of our mind, but we haven't really concentrated on it. So what is the one thing? Is it the bridge? Is it the building? Is it the telephone booth? Take a minute, then figure out what you want to do with the bridge. And in this case, with that bridge, the bridge in itself is cool, but it's, sorry, Mr. Bridge Builder, but it's not all that pretty. I think I want to pull back, shrink that bridge a little bit, move back so the bridge is smaller, and maybe concentrate on the arches, change your angle a little bit. That building in the back really doesn't help you all that much. So again, think about the one thing that made you grab the camera and want to take the photograph. Okay?
Okay. Night bus to Marrakesh.
Well, this one was the easiest to score. It was 777s. 7 technique, 7 composition, and 7 impact. Loved it from the very first I saw it. Super storytelling. Gosh, it could be a science fiction. It could be a train. It could be a bus. I don't care where it is, but we've got this wonderful sense of motion, the sense of mystery, uh, things that are sharp, the little lanterns, the dashboard, the edge of the bus, the sign that says out of service. Um, the bus driver's moving. He's a little blurred. That's awesome. And then this cool motion blur on the outside. Yeah, I don't know how you did this or how it came about. I don't care, but I think the image is really just outstanding. Um, on Lightroom, or on the actual image, the oncoming headlight was pretty bright. I might tone that down just a little bit. Here on WebEx, it's toned down just nicely. So anyway, kudos for seeing this to the maker, and kudos for pulling it off.
Prairie Home Companion.
Great title. Okay, I gave this a 19. 6, 6, and 7. It's nicely done. It has impact. It's quiet. It's got great sense of place. Look closely at the stars, and your exposure time on the stars is really quite nice, and a good view of the Milky Way. A lot of times I'll end up with little streaks in my stars instead of pinpoints, and once you get those, it's too late. But you did a nice job. So sense of place, it's out in the boonies. This building's about to fall down. So I like a lot about it. A couple of things that kind of caught my eye, and a little bit of a technical issue, is where the sky is fairly sharp. The building has gotten really, it's not blurry, but it's just the noise has been taken down so much that the building is almost almost got a little Gaussian blur on the building, which to me is a little bit in contrast with the sharpness of the sky. And then the moon, I struggled here quite a bit. We've got the orange glow next to the building, and it's kind of puzzling. And it's if the moon is there, it's a real difficult challenge, because the moon's going to overexpose and just go white. I put my thumb over that moon, and I actually think I like it a little better without the orange glow there, because that orange glow doesn't exist in nature. It only exists in a photograph. So actually, I think I'd either work on getting another exposure of the moon and using that, or maybe just even taking that out, or waiting till the moon drops and you can move around and still get your Milky Way. So that held me back a little bit, but still, I think I like this photograph.
Okay. 3 stones in a hole.
This is cool. I love it when a photograph makes me chuckle, because I looked at it first, I went through them all pretty quickly, and I go, oh, 3 eggs in a nest, and then came back and looked closer and went, wait a minute, those aren't eggs, those are actual stones. And so compositionally, I think it's nice. It's a great concept. I love the sharpness of the stones, and kind of like the way you've placed it. You've placed it off to the side a little bit. It's really easy to put something like this right in the middle of the photograph, right where your focus dot is. So it's not quite rule of thirds, but rule of thirds doesn't always work. So I like the way you placed it. I gave this an 18, and I'd go higher if you'd added a vignette. Especially, I'll keep going back to looking at it on Lightroom. The entire outer part of the image was really bright, and it kind of just drew my eye away from this cool 3-egg combo in the hole. So in Lightroom, I had some fun. I dropped a vignette on it, darkened that white granite, and then your eye just goes boom right into the hole. So great concept. Think about a vignette. They're real easy to do, and don't want to overdo it. But in this case, you could slap a pretty hard one on it and darken that outside. So again, I give this an 18.
Quitting time.
This is really outstanding. We've all tried to get photographs of bees, you know. The degree of difficulty on getting a good bee shot is way up there. You know, so what do we have here? We've got a beautiful flower with the entire center part of the flower sharp. So sharp that I kept looking at it and looking at it and said, how in the world did the maker do this? And the bee is really sharp. It's a little bit puzzling here on the depth of field, because the depth of field is wide enough to cover the whole center part of the flower and the bee, but a lot of the petals are falling off out of depth of field, which is actually quite cool. And in a way, it's actually drawing me in, making me wonder, okay, how did we do this? Because parts of the petals are sharp, and I was trying to, in my mind, match up the sharp part of the petals with the sharpness of the internal parts of the flower. Anyway, really, really well done. Even got a little orange pouch of pollen on the bee, which matches the orange of the flower. The only tiny thing that I would do is just on the, just a little bit down on the right side, there's that one little triangle of white on the petal. I would blip that out, and because if you'll kind of squint a little bit, your eye gets pulled over to that one little tiny corner triangle on the right hand side. But that's the only thing. I gave this a 21.
Through geyser spray.
Okay, I think this is well put together. It's I scored it an 18, 6 technique, 6 composition, and 6 impact. It's a good photograph all the way around. I think I was probably maybe a little generous on the impact side. It's well put together, exposed. The timing is good. I looked at this for a long time going, okay, why doesn't this stir me? Well, I think it's because I kind of got a conflict between the geyser and this beautiful orange stream in the front and the person. The person is kind of a question mark, and I don't think the person actually adds that much to the photograph. And he or she is behind that veil of bubbles, and it's a little bit distracting. So I kind of put my thumb over them, and this image stands on its own without the person, just as a straight landscape photograph. And so I think I would try this both with and without the person there. I know it was kind of cool. You thought about getting that person in that spot, but as an image, I think the person actually competes. And then maybe take your colors, or actually take your exposure down a little bit, add a little bit more contrast, darken your blues, add maybe just a touch more saturation, and this will sing even some more. So again, an 18.
View through a covered bridge.
Okay, fun, and a good concept. I love the ghosts. Unusual. A nice play on what's happening there. Actually gave it a 20, a 6 on technique, 7 on composition, and 7 on impact. The bridge is really well exposed inside. We've got detail in almost all the shadows. The light coming through the boards is not overexposed. And you did a nice job, because just taking a picture on the inside of the bridge without those ghosts, it's kind of nice, but nothing really to hold. The difficult part is, okay, what do we do about the over bright on the backside? That's a really difficult thing to deal with. And that held me back from going a full 21. Is you see the ground and the trees, it's pretty much overexposed. Advanced level, you could do 2 images, and one exposed for that background and one for the foreground like you did, and then blend them together, and then you'd get a little bit more detail in that bright. But anyway, nicely seen, and I love the ghosts. Okay.
Whitney's Family Story Hour.
Okay. You kind of puzzled me a little bit on the title, but I guess we're talking about the different rocks up on top. And this is a very nice landscape. I gave it a 20, 7 for technique and composition, and a 6 for impact. A lot of things really work well. It's well composed. I definitely like the 3 rocks on that mid-term hump. I like the repeating patterns. We've got actually that's Lone. We've got this great Lone Pine Peak triangle, and you flip it upside down, and there's a triangle below it. So there's some really nice compositional elements, and I love the blowing snow. So nicely done. I might darken the foreground bushes a little bit. They kind of catch your eye, and would just burn those guys down. Leave your rocks bright, but bushes and kind of scrabbly grasses tend to detract from the image. If you darken those a bit, your eye wouldn't get stuck there. And the only thing that would kick it up higher is something which was beyond your control this day, was to have some clouds and a little bit more dramatic sky. But as it is, very, very nice, and a wall hanger. So I'd be proud of that photograph.
Son of a gun, I'm having fun.
Okay, this is amazing. I loved it when I saw it. I love it when I see it now. It looked really, really good on my screen. It translates pretty well here to WebEx. And oh my gosh, degree of difficulty is off the charts. Everything on the bug, the dragonfly that needs to be sharp is really sharp. The little bit of blur of wings is awesome. He's coming in for a landing on this flower bud. It's just perfect. And the bug's looking right at us. Whether he is or not, it doesn't matter. It looks like he is. The only thing I would do is just clone in the tiniest bit of color into those 2 bright spots on its head, which kind of on it like its forehead, to where they weren't quite so brilliant. On Lightroom, they were pretty bright, but as it is, this is just beautiful, and it took no time at all to give this a 777 and a 21.
Wind power.
Okay. Like I said, you guys did really, really great work. This is another photograph that I like a lot. Nicely composed. 9 out of 10 people would drive right by and never even stop. But here it is. You saw this and definitely knew what you were shooting at. Basically the 2 wind towers on the right, supported by the wind towers on the left. I don't know how you manage to get the blades almost in the same exact positions, but that's pretty dang cool. Love your shutter speed. Just enough to give a sense of motion on those blades, and which actually adds a whole lot. If you'd gone slower and they were big circles, it wouldn't be quite so compelling. What would I do? I gave this a 20, and a 6, a 7, and a 7. I would, a couple of things, especially, I keep referring to Lightroom because that's how I scored it. And the foreground was pretty bright, and my eye kept getting drawn down and kind of held in the foreground of the hill, which wasn't as sharp, which is fine, but I wanted to stay up high. So I slapped a little vignette on it, darkened that foreground, and then boom, my eye went right up into the windmills. And just real picky. I would also probably clone out. There's one single blade that's unattached on the lower left-hand side of the hill. Just clone that out. But just those couple of things. And really think about vignetting. Vignetting can be a really good tool to draw your eye into your subject. So this gets a 20.
Okay, we have a couple ties to break. We need to look at number 6, Night Bus to Marrakesh. Number 9, Quitting Time. And number 13, Son of a Gun, I'm Having Fun. And between these three, we need to pick a first, a second, and a third.
Okay. All right. You're making my life hard here. Okay, we're going to go with Son of a Gun as first, Quitting Time as second, and Night Bus as third.
Okay. And then we have an honorable mention to pick. So we need to break the tie between number 11, View Through a Covered Bridge, 12, Whitney's Family Story Hour, and Wind Power, number 14. And from those, we will pick one for honorable mention.
Only one?
Only one.
Only one? Okay. I'll have to go with Wind Power.
Wind Power. Okay, we are ready. A Side Street in the City by Harold Litweiler. I'm sorry.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, we're going through and announcing our images and the makers. This is Abundant Hope by Jeannie Sparks. Dunes Sundown by Gregory Doudna. Grand Teton's View by Cheryl Decker. Halford River at Gleek Carnwell by Tony Martindale. Night Bus to Marrakesh, our third place winner by Ed E. Powell.
Nice image, Ed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Prairie Home Companion by Elaine Calvert. Three Stones in a Hole by Penny Powell.
I thought they were robin eggs.
Gotcha.
Quitting Time, our second place winner by Jeannie Sparks.
Fabulous, Jeannie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Awesome.
on.
Really, really nice.
Thank you.
Through Geyser Spray by Cheryl Decker.
Nice.
View Through a Covered Bridge by Penny Powell. Whitney's Family Story Hour by Elaine Calvert. Son of a Gun, I'm Having Fun, Our First Place by Jeannie Sparks.
Awesome.
Wow. Awesome, Jen.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know, the image sort of bugged me.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Wind
beautiful.
Power by Chuck Ubley, and our honorable mention.
Very nice,
Cool
Chuck.
stuff.
Very nice.
Very cool stuff.
Yep.
Okay, we have 16 monochrome images to deal with. We'll go step through them one pass and see how everybody likes them. Okay, this is our first image.
Okay. The title is Agave in Monochrome.
Okay. We've got, could somebody mute themselves? I'm getting some feedback there. So, okay. Nice. You know, this is a subject that's photographed a lot because they just have such wonderful lines and it's such a beautiful plant. This works really well as a black and white. Normally you see them in color with that soft green. Oops. Oh, I bleeped out. Okay, I'm going to move over to light. Oh, there we go. I'm back again. Okay, we got really nice lines, and this works really well in black and white.
Somebody's got some.
Yeah,
I think somebody's
Charlie
on the phone.
Adams, stop talking.
Or
Mute.
turn off your TV or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
somebody
Yeah,
needs
you
to
need to
mute.
mute your. You need to mute. Keep activating.
Good. That was hard to hear myself think.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love the lines here, and moving this to black and white, that's actually really quite cool. I might have to try that myself. Agaves have this really nice soft green blue color, which also really works. But I like the way the light highlights the edges. I gave this a 19, and what held me back a little bit is we're extremely sharp out on the tip, which is gorgeous and really nice. But then we got a depth of field issue because as we move into the base of the plant, it's starting to fall out of depth of field. You know, it's not out of focus, it's just out of depth of field. And since that's the biggest and the lightest part of the image, my eye goes there, and that's fairly soft. And actually, I kind of want to see detail there. So that's a challenge of photographing these guys: is how do you keep the tip sharp while getting enough sharpness in the base? Again, it's also really easy to get the base really sharp and have the tip go soft, which is equally difficult. So this you can do a focus stack here, which actually might really work. It's a little bit advanced, but Photoshop handles focus stacking really well. About 3 images, boom for the tip, 1 for the middle, and 1 for the base, and it is going to be tack sharp. And then you can kind of let the other areas go soft. That's the only thing that actually kind of held me back. But nicely done, nicely seen. Gets a 19.
Bullfight number 2.
Okay, there's a lot to like about this. It looks like a 1930s Spanish newspaper. Um, you know, it's quite soft, and it tells a pretty cool story with the bull. There's some compositional elements that are really nice. The bull, the sword, the flag, the matador, and then the 3 faces looking back at the bull. So great great concept. Struggling just a little bit with the lack of detail and the lack of sharpness. I think we've gone a little bit too soft in it. Lost detail in the bull's face, and pretty much lost detail in the faces of the spectators. That kind of held me back. So I think the effect that you've put on is maybe just a little bit too hard for me. And I think even hanging this on a wall, you'd like to see a little bit more detail. I gave this a 7 and held it back because of the apparent softness. Okay.
Score again?
Oh, sorry, 17.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Chicago's skyline at Cloud Gate.
Okay, this was actually quite fun. I enjoyed a lot about this. It would drive an architectural photographer or magazine person crazy because none of the buildings are straight. But that's the cool part about the photograph. They're curved around the bean. I think photojournalistically, you captured the people nicely. You haven't cut anybody off. This pair of 2 or 3 people on the left just helps anchor the photograph. And I love the way the buildings kind of mimic the shape of the bean. You got a nice little sun star on the bean. And if you look closely, you can even see that it's a self-portrait. You're standing there with your feet apart shooting this thing. So it's pretty cool. I gave it a 20. And why didn't I go even higher? Possibly because it's a very nice shot. I'm going to kind of, what the degree of difficulty is there, but you chose a lens and shot it. I'm happy with the 20, but nicely done.
Drifting Dunes.
Drifting Dunes. Okay. I gave this an 18. 6s all the way across. Nice technique, good composition, and nice impact. Everything about the photograph is nice. It's got good tones, patterns and shapes. It's well exposed. You've got detail where you need detail, blacks where you want blacks, and kind of brights where you want brights. What held me back a little bit is there's a lot going on. And when I first looked at it, my eyes pretty much got stuck in the foreground, in that dip of dune in the middle. You got the little slip and the little bits of detail there. But then I kind of really want to stay up in the mid and distance of the dune. So I did a couple of things. You can kind of crop out that whole lower part, which is hard to do. And then your eye goes up into the dune. And then I also slapped, guess what? A vignette on it, which darkened that foreground a bit and brightened the peak of the dune in the background. Both of those things are good in a couple of ways to go. So where do you want my eye to land? Again, I kind of want to hang on that top dune in the back. And so I want all of the emphasis to go towards the back. So darken the sky a little bit and darken that foreground and leave that peak bright. And you'll see the impact goes up quite a bit. So I give this an 18.
Falling snow at Jackson Lake.
Okay. Nice concept. When I first looked at it, I really didn't know what to think. And I have to say again, looking at Lightroom, the snowflakes are much more prevalent and really visible. When I first looked at it, I couldn't quite figure out what it was. So I needed the title to tell me, okay, it's a snowstorm. I think you composed it nicely with the trees off to the left and the water in the foreground. But the stationary snowflakes kind of bothered me. It was hard to tell what they were, and they were kind of a distraction. I think a little more contrast to bring out some of the detail in the sky, and then a slower shutter speed, so those snowflakes kind of go into streaks. So if we've got those snowflakes streaking, then I know it's either rain or it's falling snow. But with those snowflakes stationary, I really couldn't tell what it was. So that held me back quite a bit. I gave this a 16.
Feather and sand.
Okay. Another nice concept and a great find. Couple of things that I liked was the find, seeing that feather in the sand and stopping to take the photograph. There's no doubt your subject is the feather, and I love the shadow in the background. The feather in the shadow are cool, but I kind of lose him in all the texture of the sand, and shooting down straight at it, the feather really becomes kind of secondary, and I'm not quite sure it's distinguished from the sand. Just as a concept, I thought about, okay, dropping down really low and shooting across the feather. You'd be able to get a better exposure on the feather because the feather's a little hot, and bring out more detail in the feather and make the feather bigger in the image. Because right now the image is really almost heavily weighted towards the detail in the sand, which isn't all that compelling. And we want the image to be about the feather. So that feather's not going anywhere. You can shoot it every which way. You can get down on your knees and shoot it. You can lay on your belly and shoot it. You can shoot it into the sun, away from the sun. This is a chance where you can work the heck out of that subject and then come up with one that you think is the most compelling. So this got a 16.
Fertility clinic.
This is just so well conceived and shot, exposed technically. I mean, we got detail everywhere, and even forget about the technical part. The seeing of this image with the lady in the image. If you set this up, it's outstanding. If you just saw her walking there, it's outstanding. Wonderful storytelling, and the title really helps. It'll be good without the title, but the title just rocks. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious in a good way. You've got these great lines coming in, the power lines, which is a nice V. Of course, the Y sees this thing, and then you'll have to tell me after. Did you have her walk there, or was she walking there just by chance? The only tiny thing I would do is I would bleep out the traffic parking line on the lower left. That kind of draws my eye away from her. If you just cover it up with your thumb, you'll see it doesn't need to be there. But that's it. This gets it definitely 21. Nice storytelling.
Ice plant and Moro rock.
Wow. That's fucking amazing.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. I bleeped out. I'm gonna go to Lightroom. Give me just a second. Gee. All right. Okay, this is quite cool. Boy, does it have impact. And love the contrast between the ice plant and the rock in the back. So at first impression, it's amazing. At second impression, as you look further, sorry, but it really begins to fall apart. Technically, there's clone issues pretty much everywhere where we're dealing with the ice plant. I'm almost thinking that the ice plant was dropped in there, because if you look in the little gap between the ice plant and the rock, there's a pretty big hole that's clear where everything else is blurred. And then there's another hole where it's clear and it's blurred. And if you look in and around all the leaves of the ice plant, there's areas that are blurred. And so, all the way out to the middle right, the ice plant's kind of cut in half because of the technical work. Concept's great, but sorry. Are we back? Nope. When I first looked at it, I go, wow, that's cool. And it just doesn't seem real. Well, I'm afraid because it's not. So technically, there's a lot of issues with either the composite or the blurring all the way around the ice plant. So that held me way back. If that was done well, it would score quite high. But as it was, I had to pull it down to a 15.
Rainy day window shopping.
Internet's still down. Okay. Window shopping. Okay, I like everything about this photograph. Photojournalistically, it tells a wonderful story. Man or woman, it doesn't matter. It's a lady because she got a purse, but it really doesn't matter. We've got this human looking in the window. No, it's a little bit melancholy, but really a wonderful story. Perfect timing, well placed. The umbrella is just awesome. And the subject is nicely sharp. And then the windows just begin to fall off a little bit in depth of field. So if the windows were sharp, it would draw away from the subject. The only tiny little thing I would do would, I call it digital gardening. I would garden out or just kind of clean out that one little broken tile in the lower right-hand side, which is kind of an eye trap. Your eye kind of goes to that. So just a quick little blip with your healing brush and that's gone. And then it becomes even more than 21, which it got, 777. Hey, we're back.
An uncertain future.
Oh, cool title. Lot that I like about this. I love the leading lines and the diagonals, the wet reflections in the street, the person with the umbrella in a very nice position. We got repeating patterns from the train tracks to the dots in the street, to the trees, to the windows in the buildings, to the tops of the buildings. Really nice sense of place and sense of space and depth. So really, really enjoyed this. What held me back a little bit is just the blacks have gone really black, and especially again on Lightroom, because I got a little more contrast there than we do here. In Lightroom or in the actual original image, the lady and a lot of the shadows have gone really black and no details. So if you could pull your shadows up a little bit, add just a skosh of detail into them, and then you've probably got that power in your file. Um, that would help. I've kind of evolved into not going quite so black in my images. And then the other thing, the sky is a bit foreboding. It's good. It looks like it's kind of been burned in to the point where the sky almost went a little bit gray, which is kind of okay, but it looked almost photo gray. I gave this a 19, but actually I'm going to bump it up to a 20. Oops, let's see. Z, escape, go here to a 7. So it gets a 20.
Okay. Disney, August 3rd, 2009, number 14.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I didn't pay attention to the title before, but when you're thinking about titles, they are kind of important. Think about what it is you want to tell me about the photograph in that title, because you kind of lost me here with Disney, August 3rd, 2009 and 14. So enough about the title. Love the tones, love the shapes and the exposure. You've got nice grays, nice whites. You can kind of just feel the smoothness of the stainless steel, and it's a gorgeous place. I've yet to visit it, but I need to. And so I gave it an 18, and there's lots of wonderful lines and details, but there's lots of wonderful lines and details. There's a lot going on. We got this nice S curve in the middle. We've got this kind of big overwhelming wall in the mid-range that goes from right to left. We got the stairway, we've got the doorway, we got the exit sign, the drainage, and then all the buildings in the background. So what is it that you want me to see? What is it that made you pick up your camera? I'm kind of thinking it was the S curve, but I'm kind of thinking that. And as I look at the S curve, it's a little bit negative spacey, and there's a lot of space in that S curve. And then that wall on the side is really big and kind of over dynamic. And then you got all the buildings in the background. So kind of think again, what's your subject? What story do you want to tell me? Is it about the stairway? Well, put somebody in the stairs. Look for that bear with a red umbrella. But think about your subject. Is it about the buildings in the background? Well, how do you want to show those buildings? Think again about the story. And so that's, it got an 18.
Duchess in attack room.
Just in attack room. Okay. Okay. Yeah, actually, on the title, you can just stick with Duchess, and because I don't know what the attack room is, but this is really a very, very nice portrait. It shows well here. It shows well in Lightroom. Love the tones. Some folks may want a more dramatic light, but I'm happy with this soft, kind of flattish light. There's just enough shadow detail in her face to bring out the detail on her face. Great expression, very nice connection between you and the Duchess. And that turns into a very nice connection between me and the Duchess. I'm just looking right into her eyes. I think everything's sharp that needs to be sharp. The background has gone nicely soft. I think you handled it all really, really well. This just got upgraded from a 20 to a 21. The only things that I would do, and if this was at a higher or at a different level competition, is clean up the flyaway hairs. We've got them on both sides and then a real bright one. And then once you see them, it's kind of hard to unsee them. So just they're real easy to clean up. And that would really elevate the picture a lot. So 21 for the Duchess.
Moon setting over Mount Whitney.
Okay. Really nice mountain panorama. And again, on Lightroom is nice, crisp and clear and sharp. Everything was sharp that needed to be sharp. Very nice detail. Wonderful exposure because it's soft light, so it's either early morning with before the sun has come up and the moon is just dropping. That's probably when it was, because we're getting some nice reflective light from the east. Love the detail, love the layering from the brush in the front to the mid-range Alabama hills to the snow-capped Whitney. I think all in all, really, really nice. The only thing that holds me back is photographing the moon. Okay, everything is really sharp, and then the moon is kind of a glow ball. The camera doesn't see what the eye sees, so how do we handle that? Well, I think the only way you can handle this is with a couple of exposures. One for the moon and where the foreground and everything else is going to go dark, and then another for the foreground, which is so gorgeous. Because your eye, looking at this photograph, I just really do want to see some detail in that moon. And you've titled it Moon Setting, so I really do kind of want to see that. So that kept me from a 21, but it still gets a 20.
Skyscrapers.
Okay, 7. Really nice. Has super impact. Love the slow shutter speed, so you blurred the clouds in the sky. I think it's just awesome. And it's cool that you were able to stand there that long with a probably tripod and looking up with people walking around you. I love the lines. I love the contrast between the different buildings. Everything's just really, really cool. The only thing that holds me back, or I would do some gardening, some digital gardening. I would take out the light posts in the bottom. They're a different era. They're a different form, and they're kind of a distraction. I did a real quick blip, blip, blip of them in Lightroom, and then all of a sudden, all I'm seeing is the building. And and if you look at them, they are kind of distracting down there. You don't want to crop them out. Well, you almost could. You almost could crop them out, or just a quick clone job or heal job, and get those out, because they almost seem like they don't belong in the photograph, even though they belong in the image or in the street. So I give that a 20.
Tree and water.
Okay. There's a lot to like about this. I like the sense of place. I like the feeling of light. It almost looks infrared. Doesn't really matter if it is or not, but I love the bright whites and the darks. And I like the calm smoothness of the water. So it's a peaceful image. but again, there's a lot going on, and forests and trees and brush are difficult because there's so much happening here. We've got this big tree, dark tree on the left, and we've got lots of angles coming out of the trees in the middle, and then we've got a lot of brush on the right. I tried cropping out the tree on the left, and it didn't work. It really unbalanced it. I think, and then my eye really does wander back through to the really bright spots in the back. I don't know how much mobility you have in here if you're standing in the water or on a walk path. But here's a case where I think I just keep moving around and keep shooting until something really felt right. And I see what felt right is those angles of the tree, but there's a lot going on, and I want to concentrate kind of on one area, but my eye just keeps moving and moving. I give it an 18.
Early morning, St. Mark's Piazza.
Okay. Now, really enjoying the wide range of images that you're creating here, and this is another one that's kind of experimental, and you took a chance with this. I don't know if it's raining or if there's just really very little light and it's very grainy, but I kind of like I like the feel of that. And it's definitely sense of place. This is not Santa Maria. It's not even Ventura. Um, but there's some things that are really cool about the image. I'm just now noticing the big circular area above the nun, and then the big arch above the guy walking. So I like the sense of place. I like the sense of time. Compositionally, okay. We'll talk a little bit about how to make this a little stronger. And I think I just flipped that again. So here, let me do this. Okay. What we've got is a couple, 2 or 3 images here. We've got 2 subjects on both sides of the image, and they're both walking out of the photograph. And we got a big pole right in the middle, which tends to divide it into 2 photographs. Who is this picture about? Well, the person on the right, he's pretty much faded into the vignette. Here's a case where the vignette's really dark, and then you've got the nun with that little bright spot on her head, which is pretty attractive and pretty impressive, but she's also walking out of the photograph. So this is a case where one or the other. If you take and just with your hands make a vertical over the nun, inside of where that pole is, that's a pretty powerful photograph. You come over and kind of do the same thing, make a vertical over the gentleman walking out, that's actually a pretty powerful photograph. But there's nothing to connect those 2, so there's a lot of space in the center. So think about really what it is, and you really only can have one lead actor. Cheryl's heard me say this before. So here we've kind of got the nun upstaging the guy who's upstaging the nun. We really want this to be about one. I'd make this picture the nun and let the other guy walk away. So ended up giving this a 16.
Alrighty. We have 21s. There's 3 of them to choose first, second, and third. And that's number 7, fertility clinic. 9, rainy day window shopping. And 12, Duchess in attack room.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh, I blanked out again. Okay, I think, oh, there we go. I think I'm going to go fertility, then rainy day, then Duchess.
Okay, great, got that. And then we have a bunch of 20s to pull out our honorable mention. That'd be number 3, Chicago skyline at Cloudgate. Number 10, An Uncertain Future. Number 13, Moon Setting over Mount Whitney. And 14, Skyscrapers.
Oh, okay.
So just one from this group.
You guys are mean. I'd have to go with the skyscrapers.
All right, then we're ready to roll. Agave in Monochrome by Elaine Calvert. Bullfight number 2 by Jim McInnes. Chicago Skyline at Cloudgate by Tony Martindale. Drifting Dunes by Gregory Doudna. Falling Snow at Jackson Lake by Cheryl Decker. Feather and Sand by Penny Powell. Fertility Clinic in First Place by Eddie Powell. Congratulations.
Really
Thanks.
nice, Ed.
One of the interesting things
Creative.
about this photograph for me is it judged twice, and many people have looked at it. The men generally get it right away. The women generally do not. And that to me is very, very curious.
That's rich. So how is it done with other judges?
Poorly.
They don't know what they're looking at.
Well,
Women.
it's only been judged one other time, and that was by a woman, and she had no clue what the hell was going on.
True.
So
And that seems to be
gosh.
fairly common among the women. The men generally get it right away. It's very strange to me that the men would get it and the women would miss the point completely. That's the biggest puzzle to me.
did you stage the woman walking, or
She took direction well. I'll just say that.
But she took direction well. Great.
Okay. And this is Ice Plant in Morro Rock by Chuck Ubley. I'm assuming that was infrared, right, Chuck?
Yeah, it was, and it was actually focus stacked, and Photoshop kind of fucks up focus stacking sometimes. I should have used
Oh,
It
my
does
gosh.
sometimes. Chuck, you might, I don't know if you've tried Helicon yet, but Helicon has 3 different algorithms for stacking, and that can make a difference.
Yeah, I've
If
tried.
your stuff is
Helicon, but
moving though, you're just asking for trouble.
yeah, I tried Helicon. It's a little pricey. There's another program. I have it. I forgot what it's called, and I should have used it, but Photoshop really messes up, especially if there's blurred things like the surface blurred, and
Yeah.
it doesn't know
Yeah.
where to pick.
Yeah, sorry
Focus
about
stacking.
that,
I love
Chuck.
focus stacking, but there's a lot of times where it's just not going to work, and there's no way you can get around it. Sometimes it just
Yeah,
content or the motion and stuff. It doesn't work.
and it doesn't help. This is infrared, so it's a little soft because just the nature of the infrared.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it really has impact, and you might be able to just take the foreground, forget the focus stacking, and then blend it in with the background. If
Well,
you
let me run it through the other program and see how much better it comes out.
Sorry about that.
It's worth working on, Chuck. That's a
Yeah.
nice image. Really nice.
Yeah, it was. I liked I was there and I had a long lens and I wanted to get both in focus, and it was just like I've got to focus stack it to get it both
Yeah,
in focus.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just Photoshop just.
I think you're right in that. I think it does need to have each element in focus: midground, background, and foreground. But like I say, and as you can see, sometimes the stacking just doesn't work. But
Yeah.
I think it does benefit a lot from having everything in focus.
And I
before
also
now.
messed up because I didn't check close enough to notice.
Well, it took me a minute, and then I went, "Oh wait, oh damn, oh damn."
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I just looked and went, oh my God, it is bad.
Yeah.
Okay, Rainy Day Window Shopping in second place by Harold Litweiler.
Nice.
That's wonderful.
Yep, nice, Harold.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Mhm.
An Uncertain Future by Harold Litweiler.
What is it?
Where was I? In Spain? That was in Seville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really love the way you built that photograph. Yeah. Again, I love the lines and love it when the streets are wet.
Yeah, guy just happened to be walking down the middle of the street. I go, oh God, I gotta take a picture of this.
Oh, that's great. Did
Yeah.
you darken the sky very much?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was really actually a little bit too bland. So
Yeah. Well, you're busted.
okay.
You're busted.
Disney, August 3rd, 2009, number 14 by Jim McInnes.
I want to see number 13.
Next month.
Duchess in Attack Room in third place by Ed E. Powell.
She does have beautiful eyes. Wow.
Really, really nice. And you had a nice moment with her. I mean, it's hard to get that kind of interaction.
Oh,
Was
you
she
don't
in a
know that.
Renaissance fair or something, Ed?
Huh?
Was she at a Renaissance fair?
Yes, she was.
Okay, yeah.
See what I mean about the hairs, though?
Yeah, I saw that and I kind of like the idea of it being more of an informal moment with quote unquote the Duchess. But I know your point is well taken. For print competition, probably would be better to leave that out because people, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be read that way as I had intended.
Yeah, and the rest of the image is actually fairly formal. So
Yeah, it is. It is.
yeah, gorgeous, really nice.
Okay, Moon Setting Over Mount Whitney by Gregory Doudna. Beautiful.
Nice,
Nice.
Greg.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Good.
Yeah, very early morning shots. It
Really?
was like 30 degrees.
Oh,
Oh, you can have that action.
We were there.
We
Hey,
were.
you were there. This was taken right outside your camper, dude.
Was I inside sleeping?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
That was February of 20.
Did
Oh,
you use a tripod or just handheld?
That was handheld.
Yeah.
man,
Wow.
nice,
Wow.
nice. One other thing I meant to mention on the foreground on these guys.
Yeah.
It's just kind of sweep your eye and take your healing brush and get some of the partial bits of grass out. You know, you
Okay.
can create another layer and just kind of bleep out those little distractions, and
Okay.
then go back to the original layer and you go, oh wow, it's much better without them.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, and I may actually have a shot that's more focused on the moon.
Woo.
I'll have to go back and see if I can rebuild this.
Oh, that'll be a smacker.
Hey, Skyscrapers and Honorable Mention by Tony Martindale.
Hey,
Yay.
Good one,
Nice,
Tony.
Nice.
thank you.
Trees and Water by Chuck Jubilee. Where was that?
In water.
That is infrared.
That is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I knew that.
Early Morning St. Mark's Piazza by Jim McInnes.
So, Jim, how did you get the softness?
He's not talking. He's not connected. He uses
Oh.
overlays.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, he almost all of his images have overlays on them.
Okay, that does make sense, and it's kind of cool, but I just want a little more of that subject. But
There's a third subject in there.
Yeah, there's one in white. But
One in white right behind the nun.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the pole.
Yeah, this is he goes there every year for the festival where they all dress up in garbs,
Oh, nice.
and that's one of the people who dress up in garbs early in the morning.
Oh, sure. Now I see her.
Carnival. Yeah.
The overlay
Yeah.
covers.
Yeah, he has some stunning images of these people in full regalia.
Nice,
It's just
nice,
amazing what he
nice.
sees every year.
Yeah.
Okay, Here's an example of taking a vignette. Just since he's not here, we can talk about him behind his back. The vignette's a little harsh.
Yeah.
Okay. When the vignette's really visible, you've taken, and I've done that. You've taken it a little bit too far. So, but anyway, I like that overlay.
Yeah, we're all
Okay,
guilty of-
I don't think you should notice the vignette. What I saw in this photograph, though, you're concerned about the two people walking towards the edge of the frame. I see these as two people walking apart, and I read this as the nun and the regular guy not connecting with the religion. The religion is not there's no connection there. There's a rejection of the religion. There's the nun is not pursuing saving another soul. Somehow I see it as a
They're just both
displacement
moving
between
in
the two.
separate directions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I saw with it. That's the story I got.
Separate
I think it might have
directions
been a
in more
little
than one
stronger
way.
without the vignette. That maybe it would have been more clear that these two people were moving apart rather than moving together and accomplishing some good or at least some belief, whatever. But that's the story that I saw that maybe Jim was trying to tell, but I don't know.
I can see that. Yeah.
I think the vignette though makes it look like an older photo. It kind of makes it look more aged, where maybe the camera lens, was vignetting or something.
Mm-hmm.
Probably what he was going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think there's too much on the bottom of it, personally.
Yeah, I think there's a little too much there too. I'd like to comment, Dan, on your comments. I was very pleased. Well, I got 321s. I can't complain about that. But the minor things, the hair on the Duchess, the parking stripe on the far left of the fertility clinic, minor things, but they can help. And I agree with your assessment on those. A few months ago, I entered a photograph that I like a lot. It's called Fork in the City. I think most of the members will remember it. And the first judge pooped on it, and the second one did too, but he said he thought the sky in the upper right was too bright, and I realized right away that's the problem. It was drawing attention away from the fork hugely, and I since toned down the sky. There was detail there that was available to me, and I really like it much, much better. That kind of thing coming from the judges, noticing things that I didn't notice about a photograph and getting their response is very helpful. So the two things, minor things that you call them minor, I think they would help both those images very well, and I appreciate the comment.
Nice. That's why we do this.
Yeah. Nice to have a good, honest critique. Yeah.
Well, and you were eloquent in expressing, what you're responding to, and that helps a lot too.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the comments on how to make the pictures better. And of course, I don't mind that I got first and second place in color. but I also got the lowest score in color too. But my challenge with those butterflies and the eucalyptus trees is I wanted to get a picture of all these butterflies without, I've got several of them zoomed in where I've just got the bright ones in the middle. But I wanted to show that there were just thousands of butterflies there. And I've entered this one before and it didn't do very well then either. But I'm still wanting to put a picture that's got bunches of butterflies next to each other. And I just don't know how to make that work better.
That's a really hard one to do.
It's difficult, yeah.
Really hard to do. Yeah. You still, yeah, because it evolves into taking a picture of the scene, the backdrop. And you really don't have a secondary actor, a supporting cast, or a lead actor. It becomes really, really difficult. It's like shooting in a forest. Like I said, forests are really hard.
Maybe I need to clone in a big butterfly in the foreground.
I want to know how you did the dragonfly. That's what I want to know. How the heck did you do that?
Yeah, the dragonfly
That
was cool.
Those guys do not sit still.
No, those guys are, well, they do for a moment. They'll land and then they'll take off again.
Yeah, but he wasn't landing. He was still getting ready to come down.
Well, it looks like he's coming down. And I do have other ones where they're actually coming down because a lot of times they'll come back to where they just were. And so you can get them landing too. But that one is he's actually pushing off and away.
Ah, okay.
And he's starting up. And you can do that by just keeping clicking on your camera, but I actually have one of these Olympuses that does little buffering. So I'm clicking halfway down, and when he takes off, I click all the way down on my camera, and it gives me like the last 5 frames, or I forget, I think I set it for 5 frames. So my reaction time, it goes back 5 from my actual reaction time, so I can get him taking off.
That's cool. I like that idea.
Mhm.
That was
Interesting.
just spectacular. The bending and the move, the blur of the leaves or wings, and you know, the sharpness of it and the flower bud. That was great.
Well, that one was really unique. I mean, I've got thousands of these. I took thousands of pictures. I was there for hours, and I was there in a few different days. But yeah, that one was unique. He was. They don't usually do something so cute, so nice looking at me, and yeah, it was hard to get. So thank you for
Yeah, it is.
acknowledging
It is.
that.
I've said before, you know, getting these bugs is the degree of difficulty is really off the charts. And then somebody says, no, not really. You just put them in the freezer and then put them on the flower.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I had to do with the Duchess.
Yours had not been in the freezer.
No, no, I did mine the hard way,
Mhm.
the old-fashioned way.
Who did the bee
It was
picture with
fun.
the
I
flower?
enjoyed that.
Who was that?
Oh, yeah,
was
the
that,
bee
was
and
that
the
yours
flower.
too, Jeannie?
That was mine too. Yeah, it's the same type of thing. I
Was
just
it actually the
uh,
bee in there, or was it just something you put in there?
no, it was in there, and I've got some other ones that I debated on that one because it was right at the edge of where the flower leaf was, or the flower petal was, and I didn't know if I was going to get marked down for it not being perfectly background. You know, I have other ones where the bee is in the center of like where the petal is, and it's totally isolated. So I actually have hundreds of those, or dozens that probably look good.
Well, we'll be seeing more of those.
You'll be seeing bees for a long time. Bees and dragonflies.
So,
Bees and dragonflies are me.
yeah, so I'm looking at that, and I'm just amazed at how sharp the center of the looks like a lotus blossom is.
Yeah.
And so you had enough depth of field. It's just nuts sharp, and you know, and then the depth of field falls off nicely. It almost doesn't look real because it's so real.
Yeah, it's, you know, and I hardly did anything to that picture. It's not like I had to do a lot of work to it. So I guess I just got lucky. I don't remember what my f-stop was, or I mean, I could look it up if you want to know, but I just was lucky, I guess.
It was 1/2000th of a second at f8.
Oh, okay, that's what it
That
was.
makes sense, yeah.
Shot at
Micro
350
4/3.
ISO 250. No secrets.
No secrets. So it was a nice, you know, there's plenty of sun that day, so that, you know, I was able to do the faster shutter speed and a good f-stop to get the depth of field.
Just nailed it.
Thank you.
The smaller the sensor, the greater the depth of field.
Pardon?
The smaller the sensor, the greater the depth of field.
Mhm.
It's a micro 4/3, wasn't it?
Oh yes, it is a 4/3, a micro 4/3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You try shooting that on a full frame, you'd never do it.
Well, this is pretty cool.
Certainly not at f8.
The XF data here calculates the focal length as it would be if it was a 35 millimeter.
Mhm.
So you shot it at 350, which is equivalent of 701.
I got the new lens from Olympus. It's a one, oh gosh, what is it? I forget, but it's got like a 2x a 1.4x inside the camera, so I can actually make it extend from an 800 equivalent to 1,000 equivalent.
Wow.
So and it's got a really good image stabilization. But I got myself this harness that I put it onto my chest, and so instead of using a tripod, I had a harness that helped to hold that thing, and it doesn't weigh as much. I've got a full frame Sony, which just is crazy. It's so heavy. I decided I want to go a little bit lighter, and I got the Olympus with the big lens, but on a tripod, and I really like that. I mean, on a harness, tripod type of thing. I'm out there going, I'm all decked out and all this stuff. It was my first time using this harness setup, so I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work out, but it did okay.
Where
I
were
like
you
the
at,
harness
Jamie?
because I don't have to be the mule.
Anyway, some great photographs tonight, guys. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for your time.
Anyway, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to see you guys later.
Thank,
I won't
thank
see
you
you for a
for,
month again. I'm going to be
thank you
gone
for
for a
judging
month,
for
so-
us. I missed in the beginning, Dan. Are you taking any, planning any tours for 2023?
Oh God, we got to get back to Namibia. And
I've been
I
waiting for
said-
you to announce the Africa trip.
okay. I'll yeah, I just haven't been too excited about climbing on a plane yet, but Africa calls. So
Fox.
I will start. Yeah.
Bye, Harold.
All right, guys, I'm going to bail out.
Bye.
I've got
Hey,
surgery
wait,
early
Tony,
morning.
before
Tony.
you go, does everybody know that you're having surgery tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
I don't
You're
know.
having
Well,
surgery tomorrow. Good luck tomorrow,
Yeah,
Tony.
sure.
Yeah.
You're
Tony,
gonna-
do you know
Tony,
you're
in
having
your
surgery
thoughts and
tomorrow?
prayers, his,
Yeah.
he has a big surgery tomorrow.
Best wishes
Oh.
for that.
Where's
You
he
can
going to
get
be
those-
at? Where are you going to be at, Tony?
Cottage Hospital, Santa Barbara.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
You
You
get
can
free
get that-
popcorn with that?
specializes in it. Sorry?
Free
Get
popcorn.
free popcorn.
You can get the cat removed from your back.
Yes. That's my old pussycat.
Aw.
He's dead now, but still.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's about a 5-hour surgery. So
Oh wow.
Okay.
Well,
It's a
good
big
luck.
deal.
Good, clean fun.
yeah, good, clean fun. Yeah.
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 Our
You'll be
thoughts
in our
will be with
thoughts,
you,
Tony.
Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll be
So,
with you.
Greg's doing me the favor of taking me down there because my wife won't drive the freeway. So I'll see you later, Greg. And
Yeah, 3:15 in the morning.
yep,
Ah.
That's-
Whoa.
That's a
Be there.
friend.
I have to be there at 5 a.m.
Oh, boy.
My goodness.
Greg,
And
you're a good friend.
they saying the surgery is going to start at 7:15. So
Oh, gosh. Okay.
All right. Good night, Tony. See you
Well,
tomorrow.
Good night, Tony.
You have
Take
you
care.
have your best.
right.
You will.
Thanks,
Good night,
everybody.
folks.
Bye for now.
Good job.
Bye.
Good night, Dan. Thank you very much.
You're
Yeah,
very
bye, Dan,
welcome. I
thanks.
enjoyed it a lot.
We enjoyed your comments.
Yes, we
Great.
did. Very
You
nice.
did. Thank you, Dan.
See you all. Thanks for asking.
Hi. Say hi
Thank
to
you.
April
Thank you,
for me.
Dan.
I will do that. All right. Bye.